that Earl. Ooh. We have a little bit of a different opening today because we have a member of our cast who is having a birthday tomorrow. And after the disastrous findings of what it's like to have a group singing happy birthday at slightly different times via Twitch, we have developed a new tradition, which is that I have a big book of birthdays which has information about the cosmology of the day that Bat Kyle was born.
I
So we're going to
forgot
get
about the big book of birthdays.
so we're going to get some insight into the cosmological horror that is Bat Kyle.
I'm
This
so
is
happy
far
right now.
preferable.
This is far preferable to the singing. I'm glad. So first off, you need to know that your day is the day of worldly rapture. Your strengths are enraptured, critical, and sensual, which I think we all need to say on three. 1, 2, 3. Enraptured, critical, and sensual. And our weaknesses are that we are uncontrolled, addictive, and dictatorial. Your
What?
tarot is the world. Look, I'm not vouching for the accuracy of it. I just read from the book.
No. I've played in a campaign with badges. It works.
It can be the dark side of him. The quote for you is that William Blake said, "The road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom. This may be true, but will the traveler arrive?" And the key thing that it warns about in regards to your health is that pacing yourself is key, and avoiding burnout by moderation. Let's see, the couple major people that you share a birthday with. I don't even know how to pronounce that.
I didn't come here to get attacked on my birthday, or at least about my birthday.
John Paul Sartre is one of the people that you share a birthday with. I can't pronounce the other major one that it indicates. Benazir Bhutto? I don't actually know who that is. Anyway, those born on June 21st are obsessed with life, with every aspect of existence. Whether intellectuals or sensualists, aristocratic or plebeian, they thirst after the experiences of the world, and those who live in developed countries often come to symbolize all that is best and worst about modern capitalist society. Wow. Not infrequently,
the 22nd or the 21st? Because I think you said 21st, and
this is for the 21st. Oh, am I reading the wrong one?
Yes.
I am totally reading the wrong one.
We retract the sensual.
You've lost the sensual. Okay, starting over.
Thank
so
fuck.
June 22nd is the day of romantic exaltation.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
And you share a birthday with Meryl Streep. And Billy Wilder. Strengths are romantic, emotionally adept, and fanciful. Weaknesses are naive, unrealistic, and manipulative. And the meditation is, if not in this lifetime, then in the next. Your tarot is actually the pool, not the world. And for health, it says, be attentive to your skin and prone to eruptions. I've just got to leave it there. There's more to it, but that's a better sentence. Okay, so June 22nd people are overtly or covertly taken up with life as romance, as adventure. They are drawn to the drama of life and find it very difficult to resist the temptation of an exciting journey, an intriguing situation, or hidden love affair. Overtly romantic June 22nd people wear their heart on their sleeve. Their adventurousness, as they cherish, is fully public. The covert romantic finds the hiding of a secret the most romantic and special act of all. Covert types are often quiet and shy with a lovely soft demeanor. No one shall know but I how I feel.
I feel like the 21st was more accurate for all that the 22nd is the actual day.
Those born on this day exalt passion and experience to the highest plane. When they are in love or search of a new adventure, they are no longer fully in touch with the mundane world. When they are not in such a state, they are remarkably practical at attending to daily matters. Both men and women born on this day can be excellent housemakers, for example. The highs June 22nd people feel are truly as intense as religious or drug experiences. Unfortunately, their loves may be equally weighty and deep, and consequently, they may suffer anxiety and depression. After several disappointments, those born in this day may begin to steel themselves to the world and to close off to their lovers by becoming more covert in their motives and actions. The danger is that as years pass, they'll increasingly isolate themselves in a dream world where they infuse memories with a still greater romance than they once did the actual events of their lives. So, again, I don't know how accurate it is.
Yeah, none of that hit. None of it. Absolutely. None of it. No.
I
Yeah.
I have thoughts.
If
I know you do, sweetie. About everything. All the time.
I always just enjoy reading, especially for like sometimes the misses are just as fun as the hits because
The covert description was real darn funny.
it's hard for me to think of Bat Kyle as covert in any way. Mostly because like even when he's plotting as a GM, there's sort of like a quality to it. So.
Yeah, I'm a very noticeable cryptid. Is the
Worst cryptid ever? Question
the ready for their close-up Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have to comb my fur. Hold on.
I'm so proud of you for remembering.
Yeah, the as Mudkip said in the chat, it was actually Bat Kyle who had our cold open today, not Len. Bat Kyle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it was a strange adventure.
W Mudkip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mudkip should get a drama die.
He's gonna be up to +6 experience if we do that, but
Yeah,
I'm good with it.
yeah. Let's Mudkip gets one.
All right, somebody make a note of it in the cast chat. So I really did, I really am having that serve as sort of a short cold open. We have a few people here today, and we do have like quite a bit of downtime stuff that we want to do, and we talked about kind of splitting it up. And then life kind of conspired to have it happen anyway. We have a couple people who are facing home emergencies or medical problems, so it's going to be a smaller cast tonight.
We miss you guys.
Yeah, we absolutely miss you guys. It also throws off. I had plans to do a cold open with the girls having a bachelorette party, but that is going to have to wait because we absolutely have to have Ruth there for that. So with that, and the rest of you can all face your own birthday readings at some point in the future. What I have to ask, because apparently there's a whole issue with Bat Kyle's actual birthday date being a cryptid in and of itself and constantly shifting. And I just did it with like reading the wrong one. There's a reason Glory's hiding right now.
I would like it known that I already explained this to you, but it wasn't on stream, so it's not as funny as if you bring it up as on stream.
I know. It's still kind of funny for me though.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean I'm pretty sure you brought it up on stream because you think it's funny. Damn it.
I do. We all wish Bat Kyle a happy birthday 2 days early.
Whenever it happens to be.
Okay.
So
I
think it's that his birthday is a cryptid. Is the new lore.
The lore. So we have been married for math years since 2012. And so for the first 10 of those years, plus however much time we were dating before, my brain can I say your birth year, my love? Can I?
Yes. Go.
Okay. So his birth year is 1980 and his day is 22nd, and my brain wants it to be 80 and 20. And so for the first however long, I literally was like, oh, happy birthday on the 20th of every single June of every single year. And he every single year was like, it's thanks. It's tomorrow, day after tomorrow, but thanks. And that went on, and like for like a couple years I got it right, like somehow, and then this year my brain reverted after like several years of getting it correct, and I was a little bit actually mad about it.
So I'm gonna, without any specifics, just to make you feel a little bit better,
Oh no,
like
it's fine.
some lore about me and Syndra. So we celebrate on Halloween because it's a day that we both love, but we didn't actually get married on that day. We got married in a in a signing with witnesses kind of thing. We had a ceremony on a completely different day than the actual signing, and for I would say close to a decade, we could not for the life of us remember which day for either of them. We kept getting it wrong and then getting called by my mother in like the middle of another month and being like, happy anniversary. And we had already celebrated, or we were planning to celebrate in a few days. And we were always like, fuck, we missed it again. So we switched to Halloween because we were bad at anniversaries. So you're not alone in the struggling with days.
Dates are weird. And numbers are weird.
All right. Let me go ahead and read us in and get us started. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of Seven Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with our birthday Len.
Hi, folks. Remember, it's tomorrow, but I'll take it. So
our near birthday Len.
At least I didn't get a hedgehog to the mouth this time. So I am Bat Kyle, your friendly neighborhood Bat Kyle, unless I'm feeling, a little more like a menace than normal. You can find me here on Sundays playing Len. When was I born again? Kostin, our shape-changing Russian wizard who doesn't talk with a Russian accent because I'm terrible at them and kept forgetting to do them. You can catch me on Fridays running Everyday Divinity, a Scion 2nd edition game where all of my players are just normal people with a little bit of spark of divinity. They're not demigods yet. And they just got to learn a whole bunch of stuff, and they get to learn a whole bunch of stuff next session too. Good times. That aside, you can find me in the chats of various games you're going to hear about. Being a Menace, you can find me in the Discord. Being a Menace, possibly in other Twitch streams. Being a Menace, it's my reason for existing. So let's go over to Gav.
That's me. Hi. I am Bison_Stonefist. I'm a regular on this channel, which means I've been here for a very long time. I would say it means I've been here a lot, but there are a lot of people who actually have me beat on that, so we're just gonna pass that. Today I play Gav. He is our resident wrestler and back alley Batman. It wasn't a direct call out, but it was kind of a call out. Anyways, on Mondays for the Pandora's Gift Suncast, which is the morning, or I say morning show, it's just because it's easier to say. And in that, I play Bophades Caridia, our humbled servant of Hephaestus, on every other Wednesday for the early show. That would be the easiest way to say it. And I have said it like that before. Anywho, Wednesdays, every other Wednesdays for the Humbled Heart, which is a Humblewood campaign, D&D 5th edition, run by our very own Hellhounds 20. In that, I play Jasper Robson, a paladin, Oath of the Ancients, and resident responsible one. Sort of. And on Thursdays for Deviant Paradox, which is run by Sans, I play Garrett Sakes, the I guess I'm the hero now kind of character, and yeah, that one's just interesting. I can't really explain it other than nobody knows what's going on except for Sans. Speaking of Sans, let's go to her.
I knew it was getting kicked over to me. Yay. Hey, y'all. My name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I am on this channel 5.5 nights a week. I'm here tonight as Rose and Nix. My note says, oh no, which I think was the bachelorette party, is my guess. Monday, I am here on Monday in our Pandora's Gift Mooncast as Chloe Box, the best healer ever. Our Tuesday game, Rise of the Temple, D&D 5e, homebrew roll by our wonderful DM Shadow as Aiko of House Wolf. Our other Wednesday night game, Mask Oracle Force, as Nightwish. For some reason, they kept me as leader. I am the DM of the City of Mist campaign on Deviant Paradox. I've been told it's a soap opera or like the CW's channel shows. If you like it, go see it. And on our Friday game, Everyday Divinity Scion, I play Alexander Melanoe. This can't get any fucking worse. Oh, I know it's a bad idea to say. That's the point. Other than that, you can find me over on Tango Productions, working with the Spirit Adventurer and Wallpaper Fox on stuff and things that'll come out eventually. And let's hop it over to our honoring. Go.
Our honoring? Okay. Somebody got called out. Hello, I'm Blaze of Gloriosa, better known here as Glory. I produce on this channel 2 nights a week on alternate Wednesdays for our Masks a New Generation game, Oracle Force. Our next session of that is going to be this coming Wednesday. It's where teenage superheroes make bad decisions and then blame each other for them. We'll die on that hill. I also produce on Thursdays for our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox, where there's fewer demons and more ducks than you would actually think. And a gigantic chicken. You can catch me in front of the camera one night a week on my own channel streaming Graveyard Keeper. We've tried like 3 times to finish it now. It eludes me, and I'm beginning to regret my decision to attempt actually finishing a fucking game for once. And then tonight, as honoring timey-wimey, bippity-boppity bullshit cease to cease, is where we're at on that. Graveyard Keeper edging is right. That's me. That's me. I'm only here on the camera one night a week, behind the camera a couple nights a week. That's it. Unlike some people. So I guess it's Siosa now. You're muted.
I am muted. I am Siosa. I am the storyteller of tonight's first edition Let's Play Shadow of the Wachtturm. And I am here only one night a week. I don't stream. I'm not on social media. If you want to get a hold of me, you're going to have to join the Discord or say something in the chat. But there's no reason not to do either of those. So I'm going to go ahead and read us in and get us started. So, in the ancient days of Duma, the great storyteller and philosopher Sarah's the Wiser once noted that adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, debacle best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, or an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight, properly girded, with a slur, the most dangerous of the 3, and thus the most powerful. And I'm going to turn to Honorine because it is Honorine's privilege to decide what the slur is for the landlord that is going to be facing in an election. You know, how exactly are they going to call him out in the musical presentation? The particular landlord.
I thought we weren't doing that. So I got talked out of it.
Was it that I thought it was that there was going to be something that was before the actual show?
We were supposed to. We were going to amplify whoever was like calling him like a cockwaffle or something, and like we were gonna like be okay with like putting it to music and like earworming it all over the city, and then somebody talked about not putting our thumbs on the scale, and I was convinced not to, and therefore I have not put any thought whatsoever into what kind of like grundle teasing fucking asshole this guy probably is gonna be. So
Did you say Grendel teasing?
Grundle,
Grundle,
also
as
known
in
as a taint.
the up. I was just thinking of the whole like the opposite of disgruntle is not gruntle, and I thought that you turned it into a noun.
Oh, my
Um,
sweet summer child.
That I just
Grundle is the opposite of disgruntle. That's all that's going through my head right now.
Whoops.
and we've killed Sans before we've even started.
Yeah, we're gonna
This is like the third or fourth time.
we're gonna host a debate. What if we start with my letter, Siosa?
That's absolutely fine. Would you like? Are you talking about the letter that she's getting?
The one that you
From
haven't
Fisher?
written.
The one that I haven't written.
So we started with the slur that I haven't written. We started with the letter you haven't written.
We could move straight on to the death that hasn't happened.
How Siosa just got slayed.
Uh,
Or Sarah.
so
We've
there
killed
is-
Rosa. She's gone. We loved her well.
She got the
this
white
is
plague
what happened.
again.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
All right. All right. So we're not doing the opening before the actual play, but we will, or not before the debate, but we will like start with the actual debate, because Honorine doesn't need to be putting her thumb on the scale or coming up with that, because there are plenty of people that are in the audience. And I think that what they did agree to do was gather people who had all been previous tenants and let them speak their mind. And cockwaffle is the least of the slurs that is being hurled at the stage as things open up. So just out of curiosity, so like give me a sense of kind of like where everybody is. Are they in the audience? Are they participating in this? Are they, like stage managing it? You guys are all kind of like part owners of the bear house, and so you can do as you please with with where you want to be, or if you have a part in presentation and stuff like that. Also, all of you have the reputation to like really command the stage without much social skill of your own.
I think Gav is mostly just making his presence known to prevent rowdiness, and that the assembly is interested in what's going on.
Yep, Len will probably be kind of doing his same thing, maybe on the other side of the seating arrangement, just two big dudes who are known to be able to fight, representing, the assembly, showing that the council does have some interest in this as well, even if they're not putting this, a thumb on the scales, as it were. And ready to thump down any noble who decides that they're going to talk longer than they're allowed.
Honorine is happy to take a place as the mistress of ceremonies.
So being the one kind of like, I think that it's probably been set up so that if they want, they could probably each be like asking questions to the participants and stuff like that. Given that they are politically known, like Honoring can be kind of like handling that, and if anybody else wants to, they can be involved in like questions being offered, or they can all just be like left to the audience at the end of things.
Honorine's over here like, I'm not asking that about sheep.
Rose's. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to make something stupid to say.
Rose's found effectively a perch, so she's above the audience, but also she can see the stage. And she's going to be watching strands to make sure that this is going the way we want.
All right. So she's sort of up in the catwalks.
Yep.
On
They're
the
the equivalent
catwalk,
of
yeah.
catwalks.
Yeah, on the catwalk. She does her little turn on the catwalk.
She's very pregnant. She probably shouldn't be doing those turns on the catwalk.
Well, she's
Just
got
wait till
No.
she
momentum.
sees
It
what
doesn't.
her. Wait till you see what she does with her shirt on the catwalk.
I think Veronica is kind of up there in the catwalks too, giving Rosa like the eyeball of like, shouldn't you be here, but not actually saying anything, just kind of like being nearby in case she needs help with the ladder. And let's see. I'm just grabbing the name. I know Horst is the name of the contender, but I need to grab the name of the person he's running against.
Excuse me.
Now it's stuck in my head.
What is?
I do sexy for my should.
The one that got me earlier was like a Horst is a Horst, of course, of course. That might be a really dated reference.
I got that reference. Don't worry. I got you.
Thanks.
Sarah was like, she's gonna find a place like up high, and immediately my brain's like, she's so high. Yeah. So we're all struggling there.
The only song anybody knows from Tal Bachman.
It's
Mhm.
because it's the only friggin' song he actually like. Actually, no, he did release a second one, but it sucked. Nobody listened to it.
So in this era, it would be it would be common practice for somebody of like nobility to speak first before the peasant, just by virtue of like social class. Like that would just be norm without there's no actual nobility in this case, but Rainer being of like an ownership class, whether or not that is above an actual producer class like Horst, is sort of up for debate. For those who haven't, so I don't think I've actually like physically introduced these characters. Rainer is like if you could picture like a Renaissance Mr. Burns, like he has lost like almost all of his hair. You know what I'm saying? He's just extremely skinny, like to the point where he looks like he could blow away in a stiff breeze. He like there is nothing really like physically commanding about him on the stage. Does that make sense?
Except his wig, probably.
But absolutely like the full neck ruffle, you get what I'm saying? Clothes that are sort of padded to try to make him look a little less spindly. And the worst being that he's not even terribly old. He's like in his 40s. Like that's old for this day and age, but it's not elderly. He's just kind of shaped that way. And Horst he's not like physically an opposite. Like he has a few extra pounds on him. He spends most of every day sitting, but he's definitely not like a lazy person. It's just that what he does is like requires an eye for detail, requires being bent over a table. He has hands that kind of have like a perpetual like stain to them because of the oils and polishes that are worked into boots and stuff like that. Like no matter how careful he's been, there's just a permanent discolor there. And while he has argued before courts before, and he's done so well, he's looking a little nervous. Like he's never really addressed a crowd this size before. And Rainer, by contrast, is it's very easy to read the way that he's looking at the crowd as almost a little bit contemptuous. Does that make sense? Like that he has to be here for the spectacle is something that he resents, and he would have passed it if he could. Um, and particularly like that, no matter how forceful Gap's presence is at like one side, that whole group that's like up in the front and kind of looking at Rainer and stuff like that, they are not quite capable of being silenced. Like the insults kind of continually like waft over the crowd and get caught by the acoustics and bounce back. And he looks like he is just like ready to growl. Whereas like just off stage and not yet introduced, Horst is I think standing fairly close to Len and looking like he's trying real hard to like avoid ringing a piece of parchment that he's brought with him. And I'll leave it to Honorine to kind of say whatever she's going to say to introduce things, get things started.
She will kind of step up on the platform. Where are we holding this again?
It's at the Bear House because it can
That's
seat
right.
so many people.
Oh yeah, and
or
we gave them
hold
free
so many
beer.
people. Yes.
To get people there. Okay. So Honorine steps up on the stage.
There's a like a cat call whistle from Veronica up in the catwalks when Honorine comes on stage.
I think probably Honorine like turned a little red the first 5 times she did that, but now she's used to it. By this point. And she's dressed nicely. Like she's obviously a noble, but like she's not dressed like she's dressed a little more Eisen noble than Montaigne noble kind of. And I think she's just sort of like she's sort of kind of gives everyone a little bit of a wave and welcome everyone. I believe you all know why you're here, but in case you are lost, we have decided to open the stage of this fine establishment for the I'm blanking on what they're running for.
Assembly person.
The assembly seats the potential assemblyman who would like to step in to represent the
riverfront.
The riverfront. Thank you.
And someone in the crowd in the back, like who's probably just there for the free beer, is like, "I'm not from the riverfront."
Then you can provide some outside perspective. Good for you. However, for anyone that is here from the riverfront, raise your beer.
Yeah, even the guy who said he's not from the riverfront raises his. Sort of the
It's a thing to do.
Quality of groupthink.
Yeah. Good.
Especially when amplified by alcohol.
Yeah. Good. She's like,
and he's
good.
certainly not the only one in the crowd that's not from Riverfront, but
and she's gonna kind of continue in that vein, like, thank you for coming. This is obviously the first discussion of its kind. Try not to interrupt too terribly much. Let them finish their sentences before you make fun of them. And let's see what everyone has to say. As your opening speaker, I introduce that guy. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on all the names today.
Is she introducing Rainer or Gorst first?
Rainer is supposed to go first, right?
It's questionable. like they're both merchants. Rayner is the more successful merchant because he's a landowner and a renter, or a land. He's a landowner who rents to others as opposed
Oh,
to a merchant who provides a
okay.
service.
So she'll turn to the both of them and ask them, first of all, can you both count?
And they both like Horst looks a little like flat-footed, and Rayner looks like, of course.
Good. Excellent. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. Whoever names the closest goes first.
And Rayner says 5, and Horst says 1.
Then it appears to be Mr. Garsh that's going first. The number was 7.
And
So without further ado, I present to you Rainer Garsh.
Rayner steps forward, and if there was any thought that like his personal charisma might sort of counteract the impression that his image gives, it's quashed within a few sentences. He has what is clearly a well-written speech that he did not write. You know what I'm saying? Because he stumbles in several places with like words that are not that like he doesn't know what they mean, but that like it just sort of catches him by surprise. You know, he talks about the great district of Lucifer and how it deserves better representation, and how he is going to be the candidate who, being wealthy himself, will be immune to the flux and corruption that was evidenced in the last candidate. Because, as we all know, rich people don't take bribes or interested in money. And he proceeds through it fairly mechanically. Does that make sense? Kind of, you know, like, and then like the last paragraph or so like really speeds up as he is aware that he's like close to time, and rather than improvising, he's just kind of trying to get it out, even if it's not understandable. Does that make sense? There's not a ton of like, this person is a trained debater to him, right?
Honorine kind of nudges Len because she's gone over to the side, and probably within Horst's hearing, because he's not an idiot. She kind of nudges Len a little bit and is like, do you think he even read it before he came up here, or do you think he's just reading it for the first time now?
This is entirely a cold read of something he had no input on.
That's too bad.
Yeah, damn shame.
And so Horst gets out there, and his hands are shaking a little bit as he goes on stage. It's like an unmistakable tell that like while he's comfortable in a courtroom before a judge, or you know, like in a personal setting, like this is a very new experience for him. He's not quite used to it. And he says, I didn't prepare any of my own remarks. He says, instead, I prepared some of Rayner's. This is one of the contracts from his lease. So I'd like you to hear some of the provisions that this contract has. I'm just going to get started. I'm sorry if I go a little bit over time, but I thought you might want to hear. And he starts to read through a contract that is like positively abusive in the number of exceptions that it has, and clauses and fees and reasons people can be thrown out of it, and like provisions for like, it doesn't matter if you are like pregnant and with family, and you know your dog is dying, and like just does not matter the reasons. You pay him, you owe him money, you or he throws your family out in the street. And it's like it continue every single time he could have repeated the clause. He instead reads out the entirety of like, you will be evicted within 24 hours, your possessions will be put on the street. He repeats that like almost 15 times in the course of going through like 5 pages. And without any sort of persuasive or rhetorical flares, he has the audience angry. like angry and the front row that you've kind of gathered and whatnot of like former renters and stuff like that they're cheering along like it's a church service. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got me for that. That's how he kicked me out. Like, making it clear that this is not just language that never gets drawn upon. It is something that this person has continually done. And the like feet are stomping, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are like in agreement. And Horst, though not a charismatic presenter, clearly has an extremely adept understanding of the audience that Rainer looks positively nervous now.
Honoring is going to kind of because Gav is there to keep a little bit of order, right? So Honoring's going to kind of like maybe like halfway through all of that, like nudge Gav a little bit, like find him and nudge him and mention like, you may need to watch Mr. Garsh's back a little bit by the time he's done.
He
Make sure
nods.
he at least leaves our establishment safely.
Yeah. Gav had like prepared a back exit kind of beforehand.
Because
just
he's so fucking smart.
He's seen brawls like this. He
No,
knows how the
that
shit
wasn't
gets started.
sarcasm. Oh my god,
No,
I'm sorry. No, that was
that was a genuine. He is so smart.
He is smart. Sorry, I know it's confusing sometimes when I give just a compliment.
So used to hearing the sass.
All right.
I'm gonna give Rosa up in the roost, so to speak, a chance to, like, if she wants to. Is there something specific she's looking for in looking at threads?
He wants to make sure that. Oh yeah, look at chat. I can't look at chat. She basically wants to make sure that they're not going to kill anybody there. Just not on our property. If it's off out of the bear house, sure. Like, she doesn't care. Just not in the bear house.
Here's what I'd like from you. I would like you to roll me a swords, a coins, and a staves check. Does that make sense? Just do each one separately. Also, arcana wise, you can read their arcanas at least enough to like see that these are both people and not bug people.
Yeah,
they are both bug people. I'm not going to require the rolls like a TN 15. I think you roll like 5 dice now for it, right?
Yeah, I'm rolling 10, keep 5 3 times.
Yeah, that's like a 98% or some shit.
Okay, so 27. 37, 39. 51 on.
Which
I
of
think
those
he said
do you want to be?
swords.
Which of those is assigned to which? Which order did you roll them in?
I think you said swords, cups, coins.
Staves, coins.
Staves was in there
Swords,
somewhere.
coins, staves. Okay,
Yes.
so so the 27, what you can tell is that the audience is pissed, but they're not murderous pissed. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, there are a lot of them that wouldn't mind if Rainer left with a shiner, but they're not looking to lynch him. Does that make sense? This is much like their level of antipathy is like, we don't like this guy, but they're not like at a murder level. And Horst, for as much as he has riled them up, like, he hasn't been like, there's no violence to his rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? It's this guy is an asshole, and he firmly has them like in agreement with him. Does that make sense? And in particular, like, his rhetoric about the number of fines, the number of fees, the number of like ways that you had to pay him, especially after Rainer had tried to make the point of like, I won't be corruptible, I'm wealthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's both shown how this guy is wealthy, and that he will absolutely be taking bribes because he's going to nickel and dime people for every fee and fine that he can think to like exact people. So The 39 is going to be the coins, and there is a lot of what I'm going to say with that is that she's able to pick 3 of the people who have definitely bankrolled Rayner and know who they are in the crowd. They also leave fairly quickly once they realize things are going south. But she still had time to identify who they were.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? And
Yep.
if she speaks to Veronica, Veronica could potentially pass it on to somebody else to like tail them, learn who they are.
Yeah,
Do that.
she'll tell Veronica about that.
Okay. Um, and she will slip down and probably speak to Gav. Just like a quick whisper of like Rosa says, her in the hat and so with the curly mustache, and then the one with the cane back there. They all helped pay for Rayner to be here.
Okay. Gav quickly sort of steps outside and grab, hails down one of the kids. He's like, "Get 2 others, and you see those 3 people. I want them tailed. I just want to know where they end up going."
Yeah, and the kid he's talking to is kind of busy like tucking away a coin purse that he got from inside.
Gav's not a cop.
And he's like, "Do you want them to arrive unmolested at their destinations?"
No direct interference. But if they do get attacked, let me know who did it.
I said, "I just mean if things come up a little bit lighter, it's not a problem."
It's like, all I need from you is where they are going.
He knows. Okay, and so the
Like
last
what
one.
he does of his own volition is not Gav's problem. He didn't know about it.
So the last thing with the 51 that Rosa is picking up is that the base of respect and support that Horst has is genuine because she can see it in the audience. Like there are a lot of people that are here because he stood up for them. Does that make sense? And she can see that
Yeah.
in the number of staves. He's a cobbler. There's no way he would have that much like respect amongst them if he hadn't genuinely earned it. He makes
Yeah.
shoes, you know. And she can see that the strands that they have towards him are just that they're genuine respect and appreciation for what he's done.
Okay.
And the night from there, like, yeah, it's very quickly Gavus to like kind of get Rayner out the back, get it in send. When they answer about like 2-3 questions apiece before Rayner is just ready to disappear. Like this is as much public humiliation as he's been willing to endure. And for the most part, Horst is he might not have like the public speaker charisma as yet, but he is somebody who can talk plainly and be understood by people and be persuasive. He's very good at that. And soon people are just sort of like blitzed enough, like, as a night about politics went, that wasn't so bad. It's free beer, and we got to watch, the rich asshole slink off. And the reporter that is there from the Freeburg Gazette is happy to report everything that's to have happened. They might not have like a word for word transcript of the speeches, but they can definitely get the idea of it. And without even having placed their thumbs on the scale, but giving the possibility for this to have happened, there is a distinct sense in the wind of who's going to be the candidate. The only other consideration now is to make sure that there's no outside interference that changes that result. So, what does everybody do afterwards?
Excuse me. Uh,
Len is probably going to shadow Horst for a while in one form or another and make sure that he gets home okay. And maybe that nobody gives him a sudden accident that takes him out of the running.
Yeah, there's quite a few of like his friends that have kind of come to walk with him. They're a lot more slosh than Horst is. But is Len shadowing just regularly, like they're in animal form, or?
Probably Cat Len. We're going Cat Len here for now.
All right.
We're just gonna see if he's followed by anybody who seem like they have less than upstanding interests in him, things like that.
And yeah, there if there was somebody, they definitely have gauged like this is not the time, surrounded by friends, etc. He sees Horst go into his shoe shop and start to work on a few orders for the morning. So and he kind of goes back to what is a very normal and mundane existence outside of the politics of the moment. And it is as he is getting ready to kind of like head back for the night that he sees a face that he knows heading towards Horst's place. And that is Upman.
Huh.
Upman of the last year, himself a tailor and maker of fine coats. Goes in and
wasn't he imprisoned with Gav, or did he get released?
He got released.
He's been released.
Okay.
It is Margot who's still like on house arrest
Yeah.
and whatnot. But Upman goes in and is Len kind of like sitting around listening for a bit?
Yeah, he's definitely. In fact, he might owl to listen better, and because Upman knows what he looks like as a cat.
Fair enough. I will call for one quick stealth roll from Len then. I expect he's gonna be fine at it, but
I think Gav would actually have seen Garsh home.
okay. Yeah, and he's muttering angrily to himself the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Gav would stay quiet, not offer any opinion one way or another, wishes him a pleasant night at the end of the evening.
Yeah.
30.
Okay. Yeah, the conversation is not there's no like secret codes or anything like that. What he sees is Upmen talking to somebody that he sees potential in. Does that make sense? Somebody who is going to be in a position of power with the ability to influence things. And he recognizes that he's somebody who probably comes from a very similar point of view about the entrenchment of power. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Not just in the form of like sorcery and other things, but in wealth, nobility, etc. Horst is a common man. And so Upman sees a kindred spirit in that. He can also connect to him as a fellow like merchant and craftsman. You know what I'm saying? And the conversation is not something where he is where he's trying to like steer him right away. He's just sort of coming to him as like a friendly face, somebody to talk to, somebody who understands perhaps a little bit more about politics that he can seek counsel with. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of campaign of influence than spending money.
Yeah, but Len also knows the Upman's goals and where his sympathies lie, and it's something to note. It's not something he's terribly worried about right now. It's just something he's just gonna keep under his hat. But if that's all it really is, then after a while he'll head back.
That seems to be, and he's confident that like Upman hasn't seen him, so Upman's not acting differently than he would have
Yeah.
otherwise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it seems like the Upman they know pretty well at this point.
And doing what he does well, which is like soft persuasion.
Yeah.
Which has been his technique from the start. Um. So, Upman for his part he doesn't look like he contracted the White Plague during all of this time. You know what I'm saying? But like the winter and the stresses of the year have definitely taken their toll on him. It's a
Yeah.
question of kind of how many more years he has, as he was not a young man at the start of the year.
No, he was not. And he's probably at this point kind of thinking about sort of his legacy and who's going to carry on the work. So,
Yep.
well, all right.
And for his part, Horst seems to be a receptive audience. Does that make sense? But he's not a dumb one either. Does that make sense? Like he's not somebody that is just like, there's a certain amount of suspicion of like, I don't know who you are and I've never seen you before. Also, you're not in my district. Also, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for the most part, Upman sort of like how he deals with that is sort of by lampshading it, by acknowledging it. You know what I'm saying? And just like, I am from the second busiest district of trade outside of the riverfront. And so I will certainly not be the last of the people that are reaching out to you, in hoping to establish a rapport of some kind.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So it's not something terribly worrying, but in fact, not something terribly surprising either, but something to keep note of.
Yeah.
Especially as I was handy if they don't know that we know who might be, gaining sympathy.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gav, you made a comment of like you talking to me is exactly the kind of problem my predecessor got himself into. Horst is aware of that. You know what I'm saying? But like,
Figured,
there's also
he's not
like,
a dumbass.
yeah, there is also like the city is the city. Like even the assembly people are going to be seen talking to people outside of their district.
Yeah. Gav.
So yeah, Gav gets Raynor safely back to his place. The man seems fuming and like it's hard to tell exactly what he's like mad about. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, this seemed to be like a kind of respect he craved but has never actually had.
I think Gav would kind of stick around under an open window just long enough to see if he like started like I don't know, because sometimes people get humiliated like that, they lash out.
Yeah, there's the sound of kind of he thinks it sounds like some dishes being broken or something. You know what I'm saying? The kind of thing that usually precedes somebody wearing themselves out, and it's kind of almost
Sure.
comic how fast he does so. It's like 5 or 6 dishes, and he's like, "And I'm tired."
I'm seeing Renaissance Monty Burns going over to a tea plate going, "Ugh," and it just goes, like
Just
the
one little
height is
crack
what
of
broke
it.
it, not the force.
Yeah. But and as he's like making his way back, the kid who asked if they could arrive at their destinations lighter finds him. He says all three of those people. He says they met at the same place. He says we tailed them all. He says they all went to the Masterson Gallery.
Is that the
Yeah,
gallery where
probably.
they've put on a bunch of like lens stuff, like where they've got lens ass?
No, I don't think Len's ever been formally featured in a gallery as such. He was just very popular in the Drakenest for a while as
Okay.
like a subject. But the Masterson Gallery is well known for it, or it's not well known for it, but Gav has come to know that it is the Joseph Masterson who runs it is known for going to artists like in the Drakenest, those who are struggling and stuff like that, and offering to put up their works on commission, and then paying out like a fraction of
Mhm.
like the value that they're at.
Yeah.
Did I say Gav?
So
I
like
meant Len.
you got it.
Yeah.
He's like well known to sort of like profit off of the
Mhm.
work of artists and never paying them what they've been worth.
Yeah. Gav probably knows more about shady shit he does on the side than ever ever thinking one of his own works would be in there.
He's been after, like, he probably knows him by virtue of Orwell, like he was after Orwell for years of like, wanting to have his works featured because they were getting kind of famous, and Orwell had gotten known enough that he didn't need Masterson and was familiar with the guy's reputation. And when Gav started to develop as an artist, like he warned him, like just don't go through Masterson. Like his promises are all lies. So
interesting. Well, it would explain. I mean, art is a form of money laundering.
so
So yeah, Gav pays him. Thanks him for his time.
And so what is Henri doing after everything?
After everything, so honoring, I actually was gonna see if we could do, although without Runa here, it kind of sucks. I was gonna see if we could do a roll for whatever the show is that honoring is doing, like after the plague has passed. But I know like Runa is going to want to participate in that. So
So how about we'll do this? We'll have you do your role, and then because we'll usually get a fairly good threshold by that point, and then when Runa comes in, we'll have her add her role to it, and we'll get a final total.
okay. But yeah, I mean, Honoring's putting finishing touches. They've started rehearsals, I think. Now that everybody can be in the same room together without infecting each other, most likely. So I think she's kind of thrown herself into that kind of hardcore. Like this is a response to trauma.
Doing something celebratory and entertaining as opposed to reading about plagues and death for months.
Yeah, and demanding and intense, and like something that is taking up, like that is demanding her attention and her time and everything. And I think it tends to be, it's wits and artisan, right? Or
Yes.
scholar. Is it artist
Artists.
rather?
Artists.
All right.
Does Rosa want to be helping with this? Because I think Rosa now has definitely her own like musical skills to apply.
Yeah, Rosa will help.
Can I add my reputation to it as well? It's 54. There's got to be a reason I've got 54 reputation.
With a reputation of 54, what you can do is you can add up to 5 unkept dice. What is Rosa's artisan knack?
Singer, performer.
Okay, and what's it at?
3 right now.
Okay. And you actually have the performer one as opposed to honoring who has artisan, right? So
Correct.
that's what I'm gonna do is that's gonna be 3 extra unkept dice that honoring can roll as well. So
Okay. So that's so that's 3. Math. Currently that's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 7. Okay, so currently that's 17 keep 6, which
Okay, so that
translates
becomes
into
so that's 7 plus 6 is
13.
13. So that becomes so that's total of 10 keep 10 plus 30. And with it being that high, what we can do is we can just add Runa's craftsman skill as a direct like plus 10 per level she has.
Are you looking that up, or is it something we're going to do next time?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay.
She has 3 dots of craftsman, so it's
So
total of 10 keep 10 plus 60.
Plus 60.
Ugh.
She's been working all winter on this, y'all.
The latest banger from the bear
Well,
house.
it's changed so many times. I suspect like what it is Honorine has like 3 plays ready to go.
Probably.
So
She's
the
like, I got
parts
a
that have been
tragedy,
stripped out
I
of
got a
one.
comedy, I got a love story. We can Moulin Rouge this shit. It's a musical too. Okay, so that's 94 plus 60.
154.
154.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so
The entirety of Eisen has heard of this play.
so it's going to be of enormous quality. It's going to be another like major success. But what I want to ask is, what is its focus? Is it like if there were an effect that you would want it to accomplish in the city, like what is that effect? Is it catharsis for pain? Is it lifting somebody up in particular? Is it because we've had it before, um, where we've had it like subtract from people's reputation, and we've had it like add to the reputation of others posthumously. So what is the play? What is it about, and what is the intent behind it?
So it's probably the first play that she has put together that doesn't have an actual like directed agenda to it. It is literally just morale, I think, is probably the thing that it's for. Is like this is something that she has worked on that is really venting her own. I think she has included, so I didn't like write a like what the play is, because I couldn't, it kept changing, so I like stopped doing that. But I did write down beats that she hits and things that she is pieces that she put into it. Like
Do you have some of those written down that you can share?
I do. So the first one is that is there is like a love scene or a love song. I guess it's a musical. Like, yeah, sure, let's have a musical. Because they've been musicals.
Well, I mean, it is a like
Yeah,
opera.
yeah. I don't know why I thought it would be anything other than a musical, honestly. So she has a ballad in there that is not only like to a lover, but like to the concept of the kind of attachment that love is, the way that it binds you to a person forever, and no matter where that person goes, and no matter what they do, I think she has bound up in it her feelings both for Anjay and her intense, like, the what could have been with Tomas. What the Musketeer's little brother.
Tomas.
Is it
Yeah.
Tomas? Okay. I mean, because she keeps seeing him every time she hears him, sorry, every time she portays, and she thinks about him often. And then there's this overarching, like, figure of the Shadow Man that has been, I don't know, semi-romantic, semi-mentor, like, kind of. So, so she has a very complicated, like, relationship with love, romantic love in general, and I think there's, like, a tribute in there to, like, how much it can affect you and leave behind a mark no matter what happens then to the love itself. So there's that. There's the frustration. There's a sequence where she is where there's, like, too many things going on at once, and she has, like, purposely made it a frenetic scene with, like, several different overlapping pieces. Like, if you think of, like, the battle scene in Les Mis, I think it is, that, like, has, like, the themes from, like, 6 different earlier songs playing in that section. Like, it's a reprise of, like, several different earlier themes. It might
Yeah.
not be a battle scene. I haven't
I
seen
know
Les
the
Mis
kind
in a
of
while.
thing that you're talking
Yeah,
about,
so,
though,
like,
and
she's
using
purposely
previous
making it.
musical scenes to
Um,
interweave.
and, like, there's no clear way of, like, where to turn, and there's no clear way of, like, which one's more important, and there's no clear idea of, like, any of them that could be dropped. Like, all of them are important, and all of them are vital, and all of them are happening at once. And so there's an element of that in there. Um, and then the third thing is that there is absolutely, and this is for the entire city, like, there is absolutely a dirge in there, a funeral song for every person that they have lost in this plague. um and she has, like, all of her grief and worry put in there, for the people whose lives have been changed, the people who have been lost, that she's lost, that the people that she will never meet now because this plague has taken them. Um, all of the lost opportunity and all of the lost possibilities and all of the possible joys and sorrows and marriage and babies and artisanry and drinking songs, and, like, all of the, like, just acknowledging and grieving that loss. Yeah, I think that's all I have to describe that. um and those are the 3 main things that I wrote down, were, like, um frustration, love, and loss, grief.
Okay. So comedy.
Sure.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
The aristocrats.
so I think there's maybe some inspiration that, like, let me just see if this is okay with both you and with Rosa, to include of, like, that 3 of the principal characters in it basically representing, like, the fates, with, like, Clotho and Lachesis, and you know what I'm saying, like, the idea that they're, like, spinning out these different threads and stuff like that. And so maybe in that culminating scene where they're talking about the loss from the plague and stuff like that, what they're doing is they're taking this beautiful tapestry that's being woven in the background throughout, and suddenly just start cutting through part of it and, like, destroying it as they're making it. And all of the different, like, small snippets and songs that belong to particular characters and played when they were, like, came on screen are suddenly cut out of the theme with each, like, scissor snap. So, like, the particular, like, I forget the name for it, but, like, the music that is attributed to that character, the
Their theme.
yeah, their particular theme just ends the moment, like, their cloth is cut or their thread is cut.
I have goosebumps, Siosa. Like, I just sort of threw all of that at you, and you're just like, let me make something amazing out of it.
Um, and the I think the setup of it is like a little bit more of like drawing from like Eisen's folk tales. Does that make sense? But contrasting them against very real people with very real problems, so that there's sort of like the seamless intermixing of Eisen's very, very frightening folklore, which tends to be very dark, which tends to be very grim, sort of interwoven with these hopeful lives and things like that. Um, and the sort of culmination of it is a main heroine who had like two love interests and something dark and grim that is claimed to have a hold upon her, like claiming her after the plague takes the other two, and it being unclear whether this is a happy ending or not.
I just imagine people coming away from the bear house just like kind of not really sure how to feel about it, and then like somebody just sort of like, well, there once was it, like, and just like breaking into a random song from it just to break the tension.
I think there is a, a over time there's come to be an understanding that Eisen, one, they don't need happy endings, and they tend to be dismissive of things that have them. Like, oh, this is a story for children, except we don't even tell our children these stories.
Yeah.
And more of an understanding that that's like the important parts is a catharsis and an understanding of we all feel this pain of loss, and like that's actually sort of like the most important beat of the story is this moment where it's like we all felt this loss, and while it feels personal, understand that like you're not alone in it, because
Yeah.
like the rest of the song picks up around those empty themes, those missing themes, and it still makes a beautiful song. Does that make sense? You can hear where those themes would have been, like almost as an absence. And I don't know if you can kind of picture what I'm describing. I know it's very esoteric, but
I can
My
picture
brain
it.
fucking loves it.
Yeah.
Same.
I think she's like very clear and very like she didn't try to disguise the fact that like she's been working through some shit while she writes it. Like, and I suspect that the audience kind of responds to that because like that seems very Eisen to be like, I got some grief I need to work through and you're gonna work through it with me.
um
Also, I love a pretty lady.
um Veronica, for her part, has been like taking the part of what is effectively like the Shadow Man in the casting. After having played Kilby Loring, the she has sort of a talent for playing masculine characters in opera, which is surprising given how absolutely not masculine she is in every other way. um, like so, so she's excited about it, and she leans hard into like when she's practicing with the person who's sort of playing at the being captured and chained and like the song being one of like possession, you know what I'm saying, the like love interest being like when the Shadow Man figure sings it, it's not the same thing as like when the other characters are singing the same song. The way they're expressing love is differently, and his is definitely an expression of possession, like you are mine. And she leans hard into it and is even like taking the other actress's wrists and pinning them over her head, and it's very sensual and controlling, and definitely going to get a like, ooh, that's risque. For a burlesque theater, this is going to be risque, you know what I'm saying? So um all right,
And that's
so
the
I think,
play.
yeah, so that's the play. Do you have a title for it?
Come back to me.
All right. Do you have a working title for it?
Come back to me.
Veronica, number one reason for LGBT awakens.
Len,
Yeah.
I actually fucking love that.
Yeah, actually, I mean that's what I meant was like the working title. Like
Oh,
as I said it, I was like,
yeah,
oh,
I didn't
actually,
get it.
that's not a bad title.
Yeah, okay.
Come back to me sounds Eisen as fuck.
It's almost
Especially
like
if it's
Len knows how my brain works.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely like a in the ending of it, it's like unclear if like our heroine has died and this character is representing like the force of death taking her into the afterlife, or something more mystical. Like it's definitely like an audience interpretation, and
Death or just the boogeyman?
um and from the perspective of honoring and those who've kind of like been around the theater and stuff like that, they can see that like all of the people who have worked here at the Bear House, they've lost some of their own members of their troupe. They've lost people that they've performed with, and so this is as much catharsis for them. Even down in like the orchestral pit, there are instruments that are being filled in by people who are new to it because they're replacing somebody who is gone. Um, so it's like it's pretty deeply emotional and at times strange that nudity is even figuring into it, given how like heavy an opera is, and yet it's also instead of like
It's topless though.
vying from that, it like instead of like shying from that, it's very much integrated into the
The
story.
Shadow Man is masculine as fuck and still has really nice titties. Because Veronica.
Yeah, she's not about to bind those. And steadily gaining ranks in performer herself. And every time that like Rosa kind of runs through one of the song numbers and like does the singing for her and stuff like that, Veronica is very playfully like, so when are we getting you on stage?
Yeah, no.
Wildly pregnant.
And she's just like, I'm just saying, some people are into that.
She's not wrong.
Just utter confusion on her face, like, what?
Oh, I'll tell you
She's
when you're
just,
older.
the whole. She says, I'm not saying that I'm one of them. She says, but there are definitely members of our audience that are looking for a mommy.
Yep, very similar to what Sarah just did. Rosa does the same thing. It does not compute.
Yeah, and Veronica just kisses her cheek. It's like, I love it when you blush like that.
I'm going to go sit down.
Something,
all right.
something, Jame's popularity around the theater. Mumble, mumble.
So, the vote is continuing along. The play is ready. We're just going to say for rudeness sake that like they're finishing up some of the last of the stagecraft. Yeah, a few last minute rewrites were not huge changes like song and dance wise, but they were big changes set wise. It's like, oh, so that whole dungeon we made we don't need? Cool. Let's just put that back in the prop room. uh, and that way we can hold that part of it until Runa is here next week, the actual like release part. But it's ready, it's being performed. So the is there any additional assistance that they want to provide on the actual like vote day. Honorine is on the council, but she also like lives effectively in Lucifer, so she can do any campaigning she wants. Anybody else is also free to just come in and like speak their mind. You all are council people. You are asked your opinion regularly on who they think is the better assembly people. So,
and I think Honorine is very forthright that I am going to be voting for Horst. Yeah, Sean Baum. I think she's very forthright about like I'm going to be voting for Horst. I'm going to be voting for the person that that seems to be fair and who isn't going to use their education to beat me about the head, kind of thing. I think she's very like, education is a privilege, and using it for goodness gracious, and using it for like that kind of end is reprehensible, and honestly, like it's really the only choice.
Gav would freely give his response if asked, pretty much. It's like, less than a year ago, he was practically living on the streets. He would not get help from Rainer Garsh. He would get help from Horst Schonbaum. A man who stands for Freiburg should stand for all of Freiburg.
And anybody else kind of tipping in on it?
Only to say the same if Rose is ever asked.
I think she is. I mean, bear in mind at this point she's back to being at the city hall and taking visitors, and like the reputation that she's gained is because she's been serving as something of an impromptu judge, offering arbitration. And so in that capacity as an arbitrator, she is respected for what she's been doing, especially because she's been making such an effort to be impartial when it's before.
Yeah, she didn't mince words either.
There was no like politic, like she's like just fully like get forced.
Yeah. If asked, she was like, it's Host.
And what about Len?
Hey, there's nothing that's been said that Len wouldn't also say. Horst is known for protecting people because he has the ability to. He learned how to protect people who were basically trapped by somebody who knew more than they did and was happy to abuse them. So you have to respect and hopefully want that sort of person to represent you.
So I think there's a difference between like actively campaigning, I'm putting my reputation, and more like casually endorsing, which I would say is like a bonus equal to like the total number of reputation dice that you have. And the picture that I get is that people are like endorsing but not campaigning, right? Is that about accurate?
I mean, it's not Gav's district, and given Gav's job as an assemblyman, that would be very clear impropriety.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to like maintain a certain amount of distance, but always when asked, with the qualification of like if it was yours to vote on. And it's actually the night before the vote that are Len and Rose are pretty much just like living together now, or are they still maintaining their separate domiciles?
I imagine they spend the majority of their time together at one house or the other,
Hmm.
but still kind of have their own places for different things
Um,
until they actually like buy a house together.
Yeah.
fair enough. So I think it's not like impropriety level late. It's just sort of like post dinner when somebody would be stopping by for a talk, but not like a stay. Does that make sense? That Rosa gets a knock on the door. And when she looks out, she sees that it's actually like Tobar that's there, who has lost his position recently and in everything, but he's standing alone. And
She'll open the door, but it's very much like unsure.
yeah, and he greets her with like the same smile that he like normally like greeted her with. And he says, "Don't worry." He says, "I'm not here." He says, "with any kind of hard feelings." He says, "Fortunes rise, fortunes fall." And he says, "Coins are just coins." He says, "Blood is forever." Um, and he says, "May I come in?"
Sure. And she'll open the door.
And he steps in. If you want to make a quick cannon to make sure he's him, that's fine.
Yeah. It's a quick arcana plus you're not you're 61.
Okay, yeah, it was only a target of 15. He's still very much Tobar. Um,
Mhm.
and uh, he he sits down and he says, "When you first came to the city, it wasn't long after." And he says that uh, he uses the Fideli word for like grandmother, but not like it's a very distinctive thing. It's like matron, it's like head of the clan, all of those like roll
Mhm.
into one. Does that make sense? And it's also very distinctly not a reference to other grandmother. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Um,
Mhm.
he says she came and spoke on your behalf, asked me to look after you. He says he says, in being here in the city, he says, and away from the clan, I was um, outcast is not the right word. He says, but fideli, not fideli. He says, I was as close to someone that she could trust. And it is uh, no virtue of mine that you are doing as well as you are. Says, you never needed me looking out for you. He says, but I'm leaving the city. I'm going back to the clan. It's not a friendly place for me here anymore. He says, I've sheared a little too deeply, drawn a little blood instead of just wool.
Mm. Rosa's not trying to be cold as much as she's taking in the information, if that makes sense.
Um, he it's easy to remember like back in those days when he was like flirting with her every day and she was doing her best to avoid it.
Yeah.
Um, but like he never pushed over the line. You know what I'm saying? His
Hmm.
flirtations were always kind of in public, and when she turned him down, there was never any hostility or anger or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, he says I spent all my time at my shop. He says taking trinkets and convincing people they were treasures. He says I did have one treasure though. He says, but it wasn't for sale. He says, and I want you to have it before I go.
Are you sure?
He nods. He says it was a treasure because it reminded me of the caravan. It reminded me of home, not because it was worth money.
Understood.
He says, and I will be home, so I won't need it any longer. He says it's the best I can do as a wedding present to you.
Grazie, signor. Thank you.
And he offers her a small box, and within it is it's a bunch of like little carved figurines of like the colorful Fidelity caravans, like all of their like brightly colored like tents and or not tents, but like the awnings that go over the wagons themselves. You know what I'm talking about? I'm blanking on the actual name for them. Um, and all carved with detail, with like little oxen pulling them, tiny little Fidelity figures that are dancing and stuff like that. Says, I know you're making a home for yourself here. I just want to remind you that you always have a home somewhere else too.
Thank you. I have missed them, and I should probably find time to go and see them. I just did not realize how fast life would change here.
Um, he says, if you want, he says I can send word. He says, see if a grandmother is willing to come. He says, and witness your wedding.
Yeah, she kind of goes white at that, and grazie. Thank you. I don't even know how to get in contact with them.
He says, I do. Did you want me to?
But for what I please.
Um, and he hands over the gift.
Mhm.
Just a second. We have somebody who wants attention. So, he says, I hope we run into each other again.
As do I.
And he stands. He's like, can I give you a hug?
See,
And he does.
of course.
And he says like the traditional Fidelity goodbye to her, which
Mhm.
is just like sunrise to sunset.
And she would respond in whatever the correct way. This player
Same
does
thing,
not know.
like sunrise to
Mhm.
sunset, sunrise to sunset.
Yeah.
But and it's done like in Fidelity, which is like the biggest thing that they do is just keeping the language to themselves and not teaching it to outsiders.
Mhm.
And um, you know, like for whatever else, she realizes like he has the coin to like whatever wrong he might have done that he was kind of ousted. He has the coin now to like pay for his apology, like in a formal way, like to be brought back in the clan. Like he took money, he took bribes and stuff like that, but like it's easy to wonder if this was his purpose all along, and that he didn't mind taking advantage of the people of Lucifer because they weren't his people in his mind. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
He was always planning to go back to the Fidelity.
And she's the last one to see him.
Yeah.
That's not ominous.
No, I realize it sounded really ominous. It's just like he's going back after that, and he might reappear later on in like a caravan or whatnot. But like certainly he's out of town well before anybody with like knives and pitchforks is going to find him.
Yeah. And Rose is not going to say shit.
Um, so the we have, let's see, I think, yeah, we have like a solid hour left. So I'm wanting to give people a chance to do downtime things that they've been holding on to. I don't have anything in the way of like cliffhangery plans or anything like that. We have, the music is set up and ready to go. If there's any arrangements in regards to weddings that people want to make or follow ups on like orphanages or I'm kind of game for whatever. So just
I think other than just making sure that everything is squared away as far as the kids, the wedding, Gav, he checks up on Margot on a fairly regular basis. Giving him letters between um her and Hannelore. Just so that she's not,
uh,
rotting forgotten in a hole somewhere.
yeah, when he goes to visit her, she's in the backyard of Upman's place, which is just kind of now like starting to show spring. Like the flowers are starting to kind of push their way out of the planters that are around this place, but none have actually come into like full bloom. He has a number of different flower beds, which he uses as the basis for dyes for cloth. Um, and she she smiles at seeing him. She says, "Glad to see you made it through that winter."
You as well, my friend.
She says, "Yeah, barely touched here. The Vendel practically closed everything off. I think the sick that we got were mostly guards."
That is good. Not everyone fared so well, but despair is empty, and Finer Heart is full again.
Um, yeah, she says, "I think Upman is out delivering a coat." She says, "Were you looking for him?"
No, just checking up on you. The winter has been harsh, and I'm sure the children miss your stories.
Um, she kind of laughs. She says, "About that." He holds up like a finger, like it's like a just wait a minute. Um, she says, "I have some things." She says, "I'm wondering if I could give you the money to have them printed."
What kind of things?
Um, she, "I'll be back with them." Um, and she comes back out with like stacks of paper. Um, and like you can tell that they're works that are like they would be books if they were properly like printed and bound. Does that make sense? Right now they're all handwritten. Um, and as he's kind of looking through them, he realizes about half of them are designed as plays. Does that make sense? Like short little children's plays, like the little like 5-10 minute ones that she did. And she says some of these have just been in my head. I've performed them. She says this is me writing them down. She says, and once I ran through those, she says I started, and she kind of opens up. Um, she says, "I've seen you draw before." She says, "and there are not many books for children, but I think there should be more. And I think they would benefit if you would consider illustrating them." She says, I put them all under a pen name. This isn't about the legacy of Margot. I don't want what I've done to be attached to these. And if you read through and there's one of them that the message you fundamentally disagree with, turn me down.
Gav is very quiet as he reads the plays. He thinks.
And the children's stories are particularly the mantra that centers at them is the idea of like fairness and equality, and like kind of getting very much to the core of like what is right and what is just, and that is the central thesis of all of them. And it's not so much designed to be like coercive propaganda. Does that make sense? As like every single one of them he can read and go like, I can see where there's like a Relaskier idea in here, but I can also see where there's just something that's sort of fundamentally true about the idea of ruling ourselves and not being under the authority of someone, whether that be church or sorcery or anything. Does that make sense? And so you know, much of it is framed as like how to stand up to bullies and
Fostering independent spirits.
yeah, and it's also not without sponsoring a whole lot of critical thinking in the sense of like, just because somebody with a crown or a cape or a fancy hat says something does not mean it's true. And so they're all written in the style of children's books. You know what I'm saying? That like oftentimes the story and the characters are simple and like the principles within them are relatively straightforward, but there is complexity and nuance in the understanding that even though she's talking to a child, she's not talking to an idiot. Does the difference make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. And Gav, he puts the last page down, looks at her, he's like, I do not, in all of my travels, have found a single reason why you would think I would have a problem with what you have written here, Margot.
She kind of smiles and she says, it's not necessarily about what I've written, she says, as where I sit and what I've done and what that means to in any way associate with your name and your wife to be and your children.
You always think of the people.
I have had a lot more time to think and a lot less time to act of late.
He laughs. I hope that these will be printed before the trial. I will get to work on these right away.
She says, I would love to see your illustrations.
He gives her a big hug.
And she hugs back. And it's clearly the work of like, the winter where she was cooped up too. Does that make sense? And like didn't have much room, didn't have much time or space, and this was what she could do and apply herself to.
Honoring gets that. Word.
And I think, yeah, he would spend the next couple hours just as long as, she's willing to spare, just kind of catching her up on things about talking about the play and what's been happening with the assembly and how frightfully boring it is. But also at the same time, it's the biggest challenge he's ever faced.
She's like, I've heard a lot of frightening rumors about what's happening in Montaigne.
I would be a fool not to tell you that most of them are true.
She says Upin hasn't wanted to talk about it because he knows I feel a little powerless here.
the culmination of many generations of mistakes. And unfortunately, the people are stuck in the middle of it.
She nods. She says, I can't tell you how tempting it was to slip my leash and leave with Montague and his troops.
And I couldn't tell you how hard it would be not to just let you go. I do not like that you are caged here.
There are worse cages.
Da.
She says, it's easy in the moment to think that I would rather be dead or free and this behind me. But
Move on to the next step, da.
she says something.
And I mean, yeah, he just kind of fills the rest with kind of just conversation.
Yeah. And she's happy for it. And as he's leaving the place, I'm gonna have you do a very quick perception roll, which will be your wits plus your keen senses.
Don't have that. Let's just open up my sheet, which I haven't had open all day. Oops, that's the wrong button.
The bear hug.
Wits.
I love that.
Okay, so just wits?
If you have keen senses, you can add that.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I am going to use a drama die. Even 20.
Okay. So with the 20, what I'm going to give you is there's a moment as he's coming out of Upman's where he has a view down the lane towards where Mac's blacksmith shop is. And he sees the Vidachi figure that he saw briefly in Attore's stepping out from inside of Mac's shop. And there's a natural inclination to kind of fade back, be behind a bush, just make sure that you can see without being seen. That comes from all his years of criminality, right? But when he looks back, he can't see him again. Like that one brief flash that might have been his imagination was all he got.
Once is coincidence, twice is suspicious. He's going to Max.
Okay. Yeah, he sees Mac is in the place, he's working in the sort of the upstairs smithery, not any of the weirdness that they saw below. You know what I'm saying? But he seems absorbed in whatever it is that he's working on at the moment, which looks to be just sort of routine, beam supports and nails and the kinds of things that blacksmiths do that don't fill stories and inspire imaginations. Yeah, you have to build a house, you need a lot of shit for it. That's the bulk of what a lot of blacksmiths do.
Endless nails.
Yes. He dreams of nails in his sleep.
Well,
he's breathing. That's a good sign.
Working on at the moment.
What'd you say, Susan?
Nails are actually what he's working on at the moment.
I think when he walks into Mac's shop to get his attention, he's like, I thought you had apprentices for such simple work.
It says, my last apprentice is off making stages instead of swords. This is an
Maybe
particular.
quite the visitor, da?
And he
I've
says,
seen him
it's not every
around.
day I've got a councilman in my shop. No.
He smirks and tilts his head. Sort of a come on.
Um,
It's like this.
he kind of smiles. He says, uh, you've ever been a merchant, Gav. He says, so you don't understand the importance of discretion when it comes to your clients.
His client, da. Not there to make threats. Nothing sinister.
He says, uh, the man doesn't make threats. He doesn't need to.
Yeah, Gav understands the other half of that. He's not looking to make trouble in this city, is he?
I'd say he's looking to solve it.
Both concerning and relief at the same time. I'm not sure which is which.
And he looks at Gav directly and he says, you're not his enemy.
A relief. I have an abundance of them, as I sure you know.
Um, he says, he and I have a common cause. He says, but that's as much as I will say.
I respect your privacy, friend Mac. You are a friend to Runa, you will remain one to me.
He nods. He says, I don't care to have you or the council as enemies. He says, and I don't think the council cares to have me as one.
Net.
He says, you heard what's happening in Montaigne?
It keeps coming up, it seems.
Says the invasion.
Da.
He says,
The Queen comes to liberate us all. With no measure of sarcasm at all. Nah.
he says, the worst part is she really thinks that.
Then what is currently a Montaigne problem will soon become an Eisen problem.
He nods. He says, Montaigne isn't the only place with monsters.
Gav looks over to the long sheet of exploit weakness, monster name, exploit weakness, monster name.
He says, Montaigne is a test run for them. I don't have proof of that. I don't have any sources. He says, I just have instinct. He says,
Has
experience.
your instinct ever led you wrong?
Many times. He says, and it saved my life and others. He says, what I have learned about myself is that I am a suspicious person. He says, and at
These times
times, he
call
says,
for it.
and at times that suspicion has been misplaced, and people have earned my trust after I thought they were beyond it. And you can tell he's not saying it, but he's actually talking about Rona.
She is a good person to trust.
He says, so no, my instinct is not infallible, he says, and I've gotten in bed with people that I should not have.
Such is Freiburg.
Such is the world, he says. It is all compromises and asking yourself how much compromise you can withstand. And he kind of like there's a violence to the way he shapes the next nail. Does that make sense? That suggests that that particular sentiment runs a little deeper than he is willing to like vocalize.
When Avalon becomes Eisen's problem, would you be willing, or can I look upon you for advice? If not assistance.
Says, has your Inish friend filled you in? He says, and what my name means, what my basement means.
Friend Arthur is more of an echo these days. He serves Herr Seeger and is busy keeping the Koenig alive.
It says, my name is McCormack. He says, my last name starts with Mac. He says, thus everyone calls me Mac. He says, but a long time ago there was a family called the McEachorns. They were from the Highlands Marches. And they decided to stand against the Fae. And in doing so, they learned how to craft a kind of iron that could kill them. When they had
sword
finished,
you use?
when they had finished the first blade of that iron, the Fae came in the night, and they took every man, woman, and child of the McEachern that was within the Highlands Marches. It says
They feared you that much.
the screams of those dying children was in the nightmares of every other Highlands Marchers for a generation. He says, when I say that I know how to make McEachern blades, you understand what fate awaits me when they come here.
Ah.
So you ask if I will side with you. He laughs. He says, I'll spend my last breath killing those fuckers.
Gav sort of chuckles and throws his arms wide. It's like some people, they use their skills for themselves. Some people use their skills for others. It is always good to check which is which.
He kind of smiles at that. Says when the time comes, he says, I'll make sure as many people as I can, he says, take those fuckers with us as well.
He smiles and he clasps his forearm and claps him on the shoulder. And then it is. Then I suspect you have many more nails to build, da?
He says, I heard a rumor. He says that there are a lot of members of Despair who are going to be putting up houses soon. He says, so I thought I'd better get ready for a run on them.
Well, he laughs. He's like, I happen to own many of the houses they will be moving into. I'll be sure to make an order.
He nods. He says, these ones won't be good for killing fairies, though.
It depends on how hard you try.
No, it doesn't.
He's not going to square up against his countrymen.
Um,
They're
he,
Avalon. They're not marchers.
we don't know what you're saying. You can just unmute and yell.
Yeah, you can unmute and yell.
I am going to give you the drama die, though, if that was what you were
I
indicating.
said ask him about the Avalon invasion of Montaigne.
Well, he just told me about it.
I mean, sort of.
Yeah. Like,
Why are they going for the demon and thing?
yeah, actually, yeah, that's a really good question. It's like, why are they even bothering? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not. This is Gav, okay?
He
Bleed from Thursdays.
he says there's a lot about that invasion. He says that it probably serves to share with the council. He says I'll be there tomorrow. Says I'll share what I know, and you lot can answer your question, can ask your questions. But it's not a conversation that should be had here in public square.
I will let you get back to your work then.
He nods.
And then he walks out. You know, does the thing he does after, it's like one of his few tells. Anytime he does something remotely shady, he'll look both ways before leaving a doorway.
Fair enough. Yeah, there's no further sign of the man that he saw even briefly. And so I'm going to cut over to Len. And the it's kind of, he's had the experience of like trailing after Horst and seeing Upman, like it's in ways the sort of politics of that are so like divorced from all of the doom and gloom and everything and whatnot. It's like it's a little bit surreal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's
Um,
kind of different to be sort of involved in a local council select. It's kind of different to be involved in a local, council or assemblies election as opposed to all the things that are looking to pretty much wipe humanity from the board or take humanity over, or both. A couple of both.
and he like as he's getting back to his place, there's a there's a sort of squeak and a rush and a mouse that goes like running from under the sofa and is immediately pursued by like the pack of kittens that Lena has. You know what I'm saying? Because like they're all at that stage where they're like they have their hunter instincts, but they don't have any kind of hunter coordination yet. You know what I'm saying? And he sees just the tiny mouse that kind of like gets under the something just small enough that they can get their paws under, but like they can't themselves get under. And he can hear like the clamor of the cats. It's like you got no, there's a hairball.
That's my tail. That's my tail. Knock it off.
And like, hey, this is my own paw. Sorry. And another voice that comes under from like, kind sir, I would be much obligated if you would rein in your murderers.
Hell, if I do that, you have to go somewhere else.
I bear a message from Kathrinia.
Okay, maybe you don't. All right, guys. And then he starts just kind of pawing through the pile and pushing them back. And
Len literally herding cats for a few minutes and then, getting distracted by trying to climb on him and get it said. Like the cat kind of, they get pulled back and like the mouse like emerges very warily.
Yep, and he's just gonna do like the little hand thing and raise the mouse up somewhere at least relatively safe.
Yeah, and he kind of he begins to shift and like the bright green eyes are like telltale, and he shifts into it takes a moment, but Len actually like recognized him. He was like a former palace servant, um, who was known to be kind of in the situation like Len was, like a bastard of some noble. You know what I'm saying? Had been given a position, but like probably 2-3 decades older than Len when Len first joined the palace. He's now like well into his 60s. Um, and he kind of blows out a breath. He's like, I apologize. He says, none of my forms are much suited for quiet infiltration, but this one, and I was unaware of your
Yes, the little pride
host
of
of savages.
a little pride. Yes. Well, now you know. We can probably work something else out if you need to come back again, but I suppose I need to know what brings you here. And while Lynn's talking, he'll take down some food, a drink, like a pitcher of beer or
Ravenous.
something. Yeah,
Absolutely ravenous. Like he mostly like kind of sips of the beer. Does that make sense? It's clear that like it's not like he's not looking to get drunk or anything like that. It's just more like he needs something to wash the food down with as he's just devouring whatever's like being put in front of him.
yeah, yeah.
And like the cats are sniffing his ankles like he still smells like mouse.
But he is huge mouse. Hmm.
Yeah, and like one is like trying to like nibble at like one of his toes where there's like a hole in his boot and stuff like that. His clothes are very like bedraggled, like of the a great deal of fighting, a great deal, or just like being on the road. Definitely not like any kind of palace livery. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and he starts to like update Len between bites of like, um, Catherine has started a fire in Uso. It is like in a way that is like the peasantry are who believe that the Gaius and like the guidance of Matushka was taken from them, and that the current Gaius is a false Gaius. Um, is in a direct war with those who are too afraid of him to act against him. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like, it's not that it's not even that many of them like believe sincerely that he's the true Gaius and Katharina is not. It's more that there's a large body that, um, at least on the peasant side, that just are too afraid to act against it. There's been too many executions of entire families and burnings of entire villages and that kind of thing. Um, what is very very split is the nobility. Like the nobles, there's a bunch of them that are like not an Eisen ever. Like there's no way Matushka put an Eisen in charge of Usera.
Yeah.
But they also and they're busy trying to squash every rumor that Katharina has Ethereum, because that's pretty much it. Matushka blesses this one.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and but like the real thing is that those years that she spent being kind when the Gaius was cruel, making sure people were spared, pleading for him to give a lesser sentence, seeing that food was distributed, like the she has the support of the peasantry, and there's a small group of nobles who are like Matushka's will is Matushka's will. And then there's another group that is like the firm supporters who have already sort of thrown their weight behind the Gaius, that know that the only thing that awaits them after having defied Matushka is a messy execution in the end of their life. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
like that's just the Usuran way, and they can't really contemplate that like they might be spared if they just surrender, because that is not how it's gone for the last several decades.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. That's and if Len hadn't spent all this time where he has, he would have just that would have been his expectation too. But I was like, well, I wonder if there's any way to convince them, because Katrinia, though not Usuran by birth, is definitely the Gaius and is far more merciful, or at least would be, for those who turn their support to her.
He says, ironically, it is not the false Gaius himself who presents her most dangerous adversary. He's certainly one of them. He says, it is Koschei. He seems to be the deciding factor in all of this because he is the representative of Matushka's will, and he does not call Kathrinia the new Gaius.
Well,
He says,
that
I
just
came to bear this message and to ask, she asks your counsel on this matter.
Koschei is not exactly in favor currently, although you have only my word for that at the moment. Koschei has ever served her, but Koschei, even historically, has often served his own purposes as much as hers.
He says, this is the crux of one of the difficulties before us. He says, Koschei, and I'm going to kind of like out of character an explanation of complicated bit of Usaran politics, just because it bears the explanation.
Okay.
Let me just Usaran people of importance. Okay, so one of the Niases is a Nias who is in charge effectively of Koschei's Nias, or his domain, right? He acts as the Nias for Koschei, but technically that domain is Koschei's. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
He is still Koschei has said, no, I'm taking my title back. We're against Kathrinia. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But the actual Nias who has been running it and is part of a line that has been running it for generations is like, no, we're not. We're supporting Kathrinia because we support Matushka and she has Matushka's blessing.
Yep.
So there is a civil war inside of that Nias with Koschei and his supporters, which are not many, but he's a supremely powerful sorcerer against
Yep.
the actual Nias. And he describes sort of like a campaign of sorcery and torment. You know what I'm saying? That is trying to like turn everybody afraid of Koschei and ready to back him and whatnot for fear of going against him. While the actual Nias is steadily more like people are worried about his sanity because that is the way Koschei seems to be coming after him.
Well, let's see. First major question that you can possibly answer is: has Koschei straight out come and said he does, the Kathrinia does not have Matushka's blessing, or has he just been refusing to acknowledge it?
He has been openly saying that she is a sorceress who is using the powers of magic to appear as though she has Purium.
Well,
And that she is like an affront to Matushka.
yeah, and that's not the case at all. Kremlin cage match, I like it.
And
Well,
the particular emissary that you're speaking to, the herald of Kathrinia, so to speak, he's on Team Kathrinia. Like he
yeah,
fully believes that Matushka did give her the powers and abilities that she did, and that there's no way an outsider would be able to wage this war in Matushka's land without Matushka's blessing, without being crushed under ice and snow.
yeah, yeah. No, the Matushka would not put up with that. The question is why she's putting up with her will being thwarted by her own servant.
Um,
And I wonder if this isn't what she'd been trying to prepare me for. I got a kid on the way. I'm supposed to get married soon.
He says
Oh.
she has asked nothing but your counsel. So
Well, I know she's asked nothing but my counsel, but that doesn't mean I don't necessarily need to act. But for now, do you need more food or drink?
well, I would not turn any down.
And Glenn's gonna start doing a little fry up for the both of them. He's like, we'll get you settled in after you've had a bunch of food. We'll get you a bath and some new clothes and everything. I need to talk to my fiance and some other folks and spend the night gathering my thoughts.
You know, he sees him kind of, like through the evening as he's like largely arguing with the kittens. Like, no, that's mine. You don't need to give it, let go. I am not a mouse. I'm not food.
I'm bigger than you. I am so much bigger than you.
And with like a gentle enough demeanor that like, he can't do more than like raise his voice with them, and they're unconcerned.
Yeah, yeah. Kitty or jail.
But yeah, like a good probably third of the food that like Len brings to him is abducted by wayward kittens, and we just grab a sausage and run off.
Yeah, Len hasn't been great at domesticating them. That's not a strong suit of his. But yeah, after the food and such, like I said, he'll arrange for a bed for the guy, the trip to a bathhouse, some clothes, get him clean and comfortable, and he'll have to talk to the council tomorrow. But for tonight he's gonna see if uh, Matushka will have a little chat with him.
And he does his best to pray to like ask for her intervention, and there's no message. There's no word she has for him at the moment. Whatever he's hearing, it's very easy to wonder, with the knowledge that like one of the creatures arrayed against her is almost as old as Matushka herself. The first wolf has been a nemesis with decades or centuries or longer to plan. And it's possible that he might be capable of limiting her influence, which is why this is even possible. It's even possible to resist Matushka within her own domain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Glenn is very far away, all things considered. Maybe if he were closer. But this is definitely something he's going to have to talk to the council about. Or at least let them know what's going on, because the civil war in Sura, another one, like a major one, could spill over into Eyes and Lens pretty easily.
Yeah. And
I don't think the Stargate in the sewer went to anywhere in the sewer, did it?
there is one
There's
that goes.
there's one that
there's-
goes to every capital.
Len just doesn't know if they actually. That would be a good idea.
Stick
We
the
have to
first
weaken him
wolf in the
first, and then
doghouse. Bad,
chuck a
bad
longhouse
dog.
spear at him. You've caught a Koshi.
I love Gav's description of it as the Stargate in the sewer.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Um,
the puddle. The second you described the puddle, I'm like, it's a Stargate.
Yeah. No, I can
um,
see it. But yeah, what Len doesn't know is if like the Gaius and others know about the Stargate and have it guarded.
that is a fairly difficult question to pose to somebody who probably doesn't know of it.
Yeah, well, no,
Given that-
he's not talking to asking the guy himself. He's just thinking, oh yeah, there's a way to get there fairly quickly, but it's might be a way that's heavily guarded by large men with sticks with nails in them.
Alexandrovic, the courier messenger, is happy to get some rest and return in another day or two. He does not have a flying form. He's like, well, I did, but I'm old now and my wings don't. It's very tiring. Owls are not meant for long distance flight.
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh. You guys can't hear it, but my shoulders actually did pop on that.
The other guy's like, I recognize those cracks. You've been flying a long distance, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. But we can also see if we can get him a horse to get him packed up and provisioned for the run back. But first, he's going to want to talk to the council about this and see what thoughts we have about yet another big fucking problem in another country that could still spill over into Eisen.
We are about 5 minutes out, but that feels like a good place to draw the curtain for tonight.
Yeah, guys.
Rather than getting into anything else. So I want to do a quick. I am giving Gav the drama die for the reckless moment. Let me just go ask him.
We're still buddies, right?
Yeah.
He didn't seem too pissed off at us after the whole Unseelie thing. It should be fine.
So the I want one RP award for tonight. Since we're a smaller group, I'm just going to do one.
Honoring.
Len.
We'll go with Len.
Okay.
And I think that is it. I'm going to go ahead and read us out. All right. Thank you for everybody watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, and make a comment down below. Here at Dirty 20, we always sign out with the same call to action. Be nice, be kind when you have the spoons, but even if you don't, be nice. Be nice to strangers, be nice to family, be nice to your loved ones, and most of all, be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Night, y'all.